Another weekend of violence is leaving its mark on Charlotte communities. CMPD says it's investigating several shootings from over the weekend. 2 of those were deadly. Another one put 3 people in the hospital. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre is in North Charlotte, where police say they're already taking swift action to increase security.
We were here just a few hours ago when this surveillance tower was just added, and some business owners and employees I spoke to say they hope that it helps deter some of that criminal activity here. An extra eye of security now stands inside this parking lot off West Sugar Creek and Mallard Creek roads in North Charlotte.
It gives a sense of security for the community, for the elderly people, for everybody else that is out here. That's what it's all about.
That is the lot where local businesses say a street takeover came together early Sunday morning, ending in a shooting. According to CMPD, 3 people between the ages of 18 and 21 were hurt. This was one of several shootings Sunday. CMPD also investigating a deadly shooting in West Charlotte where 20-year-old Wesley Guerra was killed. Hours later in Northwest Charlotte, a shooting left 2 people dead. Folks taken back by the violence rocking their communities.
I don't know what it's tied to, but it is really outrageous. It's crazy.
Would love to understand from the people that are doing the shooting, what's the problem and why is there so much shooting going on?
The surveillance tower is a welcomed addition, but some are looking to their communities for more action.
Until somebody takes a firm stand with folks with guns and get an understanding on where these young people's heads are at, I mean, it's going to continue, unfortunately.
Anyone with information on any of these shootings is asked to contact police. Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
Since these fires broke out, you might have heard us talking about what percentage, right, that they're contained or not contained. But do you actually know what containment means?
We had Megan Bragg on Live Impact News to explain it. But first, there's a major difference between containing a fire versus a fire being out. WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies for us tonight.
Well, this is the graph of some of those fires burning in South Carolina right now, and it can be confusing when we read off the percentages of a fire that is contained. So let's break it all down for you. Our sources for this is the U.S. Forest Service and the Western Fire Chiefs Association. So let's take a look at these 3 words that you've probably been hearing since the start of these fires. It's contained, controlled, and out. Now, according to the U.S. Forest Service, a fire is contained when the fire is encircled by constructed fire lines made by fire crews or fuel breaks, which are roads, streams, or something natural that would stop a fire. When this happens, there is an expectation that the fire will not cross these lines. So, for example, when we say the fire is 20% contained, that means some combination of fire lines and fuel breaks surround 20% of that fire. However, that does not mean the fire is 20% out. It just means those lines are expected to stop the spread of fire. When it comes to a fire being controlled, that means it's 100% contained by those fire lines, and crews have extinguished flames and removed unburnt fuels about 300 feet inside the fire line perimeter. But you're still not out of the woods yet, because hot spots do remain and crews continue to watch the fire. When a fire is out, that means there are no hot spots and no smoke detected within the line for at least 48 hours. Large wildfires are often watched and patrolled until a significant amount of rainfall. Now, if you have any more questions on these fires, send me an email to verify@WCNC.com. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
WCNC Charlotte is making a difference with your help. When you share your news tips, we go to work.
I sent you that email. 15 minutes later, you're responding to me.
When a Charlotte woman battling cancer lost her health coverage, we demanded answers.
Within hours of WCNC Charlotte asking questions, the agency responsible quickly corrected its mistake.
Let us get to work for you.
Reach out to newstips@WCNC.com. WCNC Charlotte, news that impacts you.
Now to a big day for the Charlotte Hornets. The team is one step closer to getting a new practice facility. They broke ground on their new state-of-the-art practice and training facility today.
It looks pretty impressive. It's going to be directly across the street from the Spectrum Center. WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris joining us live now from Uptown with more on how not just players, but really everyone in the community can feel the impact of this new center. Miles?
Yeah, Nick and Jay. Hey, Nick, I know you're really excited for this facility once it finally gets up and running, but hey, for the players and for the organization, this practice facility will check a lot of boxes, but it'll also serve as a game changer for Uptown and for this community as well.
3, 2, 1.
Charlotte Hornets teaming up with Novant Health and building a monumental performance center.
It really gives another community asset for Uptown Charlotte.
The Novant Health Performance Center will include state-of-the-art training and recovery, including 2 full-size basketball courts for the team. And there's also a plan for retail and office space, along with a new Novant clinic that'll be open to the public. And the city contributing $30 million to the facility. And City Councilman Malcolm Graham says that the facility benefits the city as a whole.
It helps support frontline workers like waiters and waitresses and bartenders and Uber drivers. And so all this drive that economy to make sure that our frontline workers have the opportunity to participate in the piece of the economic pie of the city.
Current and former players were at Wednesday's groundbreaking ceremony, including the franchise's all-time leading scorer, Kemba Walker.
I think it's super important, for our players, for everyone, it's like a home away from home. So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
Hornets ownership hopeful the new facility will elevate the team and the city.
This is the first step. Obviously, it's going to take us a little while to build it, but it'll be a big step. And we're thrilled about what we're going to do for our team and our players, but also for the city itself.
Nick and Jane, obviously today marks as that groundbreaking ceremony, so there's probably a lot of questions and wondering specifically when this facility will be open. Well, the Hornets organization hopes to have this open at some point next year. Reporting live here in Uptown, I'm Miles Harris, WCNC Charlotte.
Very exciting indeed. Maybe you'll be able to break into the hardwood and show them where it's at, both of you.
Yeah, the jump shot still
Little
works.
pickup.
Still works.
All right, Miles and Nick at it. We'll see.
It is now 5:14, time to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. As the temperatures heat up in the Carolinas, these hot months could leave you tossing and turning all night long.
Why can it be harder to get sleep as temperatures warm up? Let's connect the dots. During hotter months, more people tend to report they have trouble going to sleep. And according to the New York Times, there is some evidence that seasonal changes can impact your sleep patterns. Some of that can be blamed on daylight saving time. It's because we are exposed to extra sunlight later in the day after the clock change. More light in the evenings can suppress our body's production of melatonin, the hormone that tells us when to get some sleep. And hotter weather doesn't help. Your body temperature should fall by a few degrees before bed to help you get deep sleep. But the hotter your home, the harder it is to cool. The best way to get back on track is to set a sleep schedule and stick to it, and give your body time to unwind and get into a sleep mode. Lower the lights, relax, and turn off those devices at least an hour before bed. And that's connecting the dots.
When severe weather impacts the Carolinas, you can help us tell the story.
Our radar helps to keep you weather aware, along with images like these. Here's how to send us a video or picture of conditions impacting your area.
Make sure you're in a safe spot. Take a picture or a video, then send it to the Near Me feature on our WCNC News app.
Your image could be part of our weather impact coverage. Download the WCNC News app now.
It's time for us to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. A behind-the-scenes tool in weather forecasting is quietly being scaled back, and it could affect the forecast that we all rely on.
The U.S. government is cutting back on weather balloon launches, and experts say that could hurt the accuracy of forecasts. Let's connect the dots. For decades, the National Weather Service has launched balloons twice a day at more than 100 sites. They collect real-time data on temperature, wind, and humidity. It's key info that helps build weather models. But staffing cuts under the Trump administration are now limiting launches at several sites, especially in places where severe storms often form. That could mean less reliable forecasts, especially during messy weather like snow turning to freezing rain. Experts say weather balloons provide some of the most important data for predicting what comes next. Without them, forecasters may be left guessing. And even small changes in forecast accuracy can create big risks during dangerous storms. Some private companies are stepping in to help, but scientists warn nothing can fully replace what the government system provides. And that's connecting the dots.
I stuck it out to the end.
Faced with the same foe, others might have folded, but this woman fought one of the country's largest debt collectors and won a significant settlement. Nearly 20,000 others in North Carolina did the exact same. And advocates say their experience should be a wake-up call for anyone who's ever signed up for a credit card.
And WCNC Charlotte's Nate Morabito learned one company in particular has repeatedly failed to follow the rules, all while demanding, where's the money?
It usually starts with a phone call or mail from a vaguely named company about past debt that tends to catch people off guard and leave them skeptical. After all, this is not the original company they first did business with. Instead, it's a company that bought their debt long after it went unpaid. Attorneys say the last thing consumers should do is ignore it or pay it. Instead, they should take it seriously and ask for help. A decision 25 years ago to open an H.H. Gregg credit card and save a few bucks on a couple TVs.
I actually had the cash to buy them, but they had a promotion going on.
Has cost Sherry Spector dearly.
They sued, they sent a sheriff to my door. That did scare me.
Initially, just money.
It is not who I am.
But over time, maybe more devastating.
For the people that know me, would be so surprised.
Some of her confidence.
But they would not be surprised that I fought to the very end.
Today, she's just on the other side and desperate to help protect others.
That means something to me.
Records show early on, she made payments on the 2-year no-interest plan. But then her world came crumbling down. The Charlotte woman says she kept up for as long as she could after losing her job, but eventually had to make tough decisions.
Food, clothing, shelter. That's all that got paid.
Many years down the road, the phone started ringing.
They would call 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, 12, 1 o'clock at night.
Portfolio Recovery Associates claimed the company now owned her debt. At that point, her remaining balance sat at almost $2,800.
I was saying, I will do this. I owe the money, and I'm happy to pay it, but you have to prove that you own that debt. I'm not just going to give you money. I don't even know who you are.
That's when she enlisted the help of attorneys.
I wasn't avoiding anything. And then you come at me like that? No. No. No, no, no.
I wish they didn't exist.
Jason Pickler is with the North Carolina Justice Center.
They take these worthless debts and turn them into a billion-dollar business by getting civil judgments against poor people.
He's used his legal skills to help fight back on behalf of those people, filing a class action lawsuit against PRA, claiming the company failed to follow the rules in place at the time, and as a result, secured an almost $6 million settlement.
We definitely put some brakes on the runaway train.
But it's not just here.
This came out of the blue.
Our content partner across the country in Phoenix discovered PRA incorrectly tried to collect debt from a woman named Ann Munoz.
When you come after me wrongfully, I'm going to make as much noise as possible.
A judge there dismissed her case in January. These cases are not unusual. Just 2 years ago, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau ordered the same company, labeled a repeat offender, to pay more than $24 million, in part for illegal debt collection practices, noting the debt collection giant filed lawsuits even when it lacked documentation about the debt.
These companies shouldn't be allowed to do whatever they want.
A common theme in Sherry Spector's case. With the North Carolina Justice Center's help, a judge eventually vacated the judgment against her.
I just have chills right now because just hearing that was just complete vindication.
Meanwhile, she secured a more than $5,000 settlement. For those who can't afford an attorney and are facing what feels like an insurmountable legal challenge, there are services in our area that might be able to help. The nonprofits, Legal Aid of North Carolina, and Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy. As for Portfolio Recovery Associates, a spokesperson would not talk specifically about any case, but in a statement assured us the company follows strict local, state, and federal regulations and laws while striving to act with integrity and treat customers with respect and empathy at all times. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
I feel like, Brad, maybe the only thing that's going to stand in the way from windows down driving for him, maybe the pollen?
Yeah, dark cars are all good until you get pollen season. You'll be watching that car quite a bit, but hey, I'll take it. That's a beautiful vehicle. Congratulations.
Yeah.
What a great tribute. I mean, today's been a little better. We washed some of that pollen out of the air, but it comes back pretty strong. And think about the pollen. The plants, they respond to the rain. They will start producing more pollen. So it's initial washing it out of the atmosphere, but then it just comes back pretty quickly. Today, I could already see it starting to show back up. We need consistent rain to keep the levels down, because when you go several days with dry, windy weather, it just builds up and becomes more and more. Tomorrow, we should get a little help. We're going to get a little drizzle or mist around. No heavy downpours, nothing severe, anything like that, but certainly some moisture in the air. This will help with the fires as well, with containment efforts in the western part of the state. But that moisture moving in, that's a sign of big changes. That's a warm front coming in, and that's going to be kind of a more soupy air mass, kind of more sticky as we get towards the end of the week. You can see the rainfall chances not crazy high. They peak at around 30%, but most of the day it's around a 20% chance of seeing some rainfall tomorrow. Even with that 20% chance, because the winds are shifting to the south, expect pollen to be still pretty high, just not as high as it's going to be on Thursday and Friday as we start to dry out and the wind begins to pick up a little bit. That front, you can see it there pushing to the north. You see that moisture coming with it as we go through the day tomorrow. Once we get beyond that warm front, it's wide open to the Gulf and the Atlantic. That's going to bring in warm, humid air. It's going to get toasty around here. Our first legitimate heat wave of the season kind of starts Thursday. It won't be record breaking, but 83 on Thursday, 90 for Friday and Saturday with full sunshine. That would break the record on Friday, which is 87. The record on Saturday is 88. So both of those records are definitely in jeopardy as this ridge of high pressure sets up over Florida and the southeast. Now, on the northwest side, this is going to cause a different issue. Because this ridge of high pressure is a mountain in the atmosphere, it's not going to move. So we're going to see wave of thunderstorms developing day after day in the same spot. They're going to get stuck on the northwest side of this ridge, and this is going to produce multi-day severe weather outbreak all the way through Friday, possibly Saturday, even into Sunday, possibly, depending on how things unfold. And with several days of severe weather, that's bad enough, but you got to think about the moisture and the rainfall that'll fall day after day. High risk there as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, it's an extreme risk. It's a high risk again for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This pocket of weather right here when rainfall could end up being 15 to 20 inches of rain in the next 7 days. We'll be on the drier side of this, but that's going to be a catastrophic event for areas of the Ohio and Mississippi River Valley. Then the heat moves out and the pattern flips back to cool next week. We're actually going to see below average temperatures as we go into next week, and it's going to stick around maybe through the middle of the month. So the cooler temperatures are going to return. We're not going straight to summer. This is just a brief blip as we see the cooler weather returning. Remember, our last freeze typically happens, generally at the end of March, but our average last frost is until April 10th. That's why we say wait till the 15th to plant, because that's usually going to be okay about 98% of the time. Your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. There's the heat Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday's a big transition day. Could see some strong storms. Got to monitor that. And then next week, the 10-day forecast shows much cooler weather and even some patchy frost possible a couple of mornings in the middle of next week.
Wow. All right.
WCNC Weather Impact, your trusted source for winter weather and beyond.
We're committed to keeping you safe, informed, and weather aware.
From frost and freezes to snow, the WCNC Weather Impact team tells you the timing and the essentials you need to know. Get the up-to-date forecast on your schedule, always streaming on WCNC Plus.
Your Weather Impact team only on WCNC Charlotte.
Stream now on WCNC Plus.
A powerful piece of history is now open to the public in the Carolina Piedmont, one of the largest known burial sites of enslaved individuals in the region. At the historic site in York County, at least 481 souls once lost to time are now honored and remembered. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King has more on the long-awaited tribute.
It's powerful.
481 lives, once forgotten, now remembered. For 3 years, historians and preservationists have worked with care, unearthing a past hidden long beneath the soil, restoring dignity to those whose names were erased by time.
We used primarily ground-penetrating radar to find disturbances in the soil that were consistent with what a burial would look like.
They worked with descendants of the enslaved and the enslavers to come up with a way to give honor to the men, women, and children who labored and endured.
When you feel the solemnity of this ground and realize the lives that it represents, not just a number of 481, but 481 individual lives, and you start reflecting on them.
And Saturday, for the first time, many people walk through these sacred grounds, not just to see the site, but to feel its weight.
We study history and we study facts and we study dates, but these are real people that really lived. It becomes really tangible when you're in a sacred space like that.
A space of long overdue recognition and remembrance.
Not to just see an empty field of, small rocks and leaves, but to see these markers really makes it a heavy experience, but a real tangible one.
In York County, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, tonight, Charlotte residents say they want to know what's next for District 6 with its city council representatives stepping down. We were the first Charlotte station to break the news that Councilman Tark Bakari is resigning to take a position in the Trump administration. Bakari just held his final town hall meeting just a few hours ago, and while he didn't address his future, he did discuss the future of the district. Here's WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard.
After more than 7 years, Council Member Bakari wrapping up his last town hall, addressing multiple concerns. He says there's still lots of work left to be done. After years of service,
I am resigning from City Council.
Tark Bakari updating and addressing concerns at his town hall for the last time.
Have accepted the position of Deputy Administrator of the FTA.
As he prepares for his next big role under the Trump administration, he says he's hoping District 6 will continue to soar, tackling his top two biggest concerns.
Infrastructure and public safety. Sometimes there's a false sense of security because in other parts of town the numbers are higher, but there's a substantial number, especially of property crimes here.
Bakari says he also wants to see more investments in infrastructure.
District 6 pays over 25% of the property tax basis that funds this entire city. Yet over my last 8 years, we got less than 2% of infrastructure capital spend back.
He says as he looks back over the years of hard work with the city, he's thankful for the opportunity to serve.
Looking back on that now, what a journey it's been. Well, I've had a lot of great experiences here over the last 7.5 years.
As he prepares to take on a new role over the next coming weeks, he says he'll never stop rooting for the Queen City.
Go Charlotte, go.
Tradisha Woodard, WCNC Charlotte.
Question everything and verify with WCNC Charlotte. Taking questions, seeking experts for the answers, and sharing the knowledge to distinguish fact from fiction.
With this breaking news, we're seeing a lot of claims on social media.
No question left unanswered.
Police say this is true. All 4 of those shootings are connected.
Clearing up the confusion and bringing the truth into focus. WCNC Charlotte is guiding the way. Well, as we mentioned, part of Senator Booker's speech was about bringing awareness to the moves the Trump administration is taking, including cuts to DEI programs. Tonight, teachers and students are also raising their voices about diversity in classrooms. WCNC Charlotte's Siobhan Briley explains why students say representation matters.
One student I spoke to says oftentimes students rely on her when it comes to needing a translator and so much more. And that's why she's advocating for more diversity in the classrooms. 9th grade student Amanda Garcia Gorado says she understands how detrimental it can be to a student who lacks a diverse group of teachers in the classrooms. Students and teachers say they fear potential cuts to DEI programs could make it tougher to get a diverse group of teachers.
What I see in schools is that there's students there sitting there that can't connect with the teachers, and they ask other students to help them connect with the teacher.
English teacher Natalia Mejia says one of the reasons she got into the profession is because she wanted students to see representation and feel valued.
Some of the biggest hurdles that I think students might see is creating that culture, that sense of belonging. Sometimes it's really hard possibly to even see themselves becoming a teacher if they don't see other people like themselves being a teacher.
Mejia is a part of the solution. She attends regional task force meetings put on by the Dudley Flood Center for Educational Equity and Opportunity. The goal is to achieve racial equity in education across the state through building connections across the fields of research, policy, and practice.
Teachers are able to, from all over the state, to come together and talk about those different initiatives, really just supporting all teachers, supporting all students, and supporting these teachers of color as they go into the workforce.
Amanda says that support could go a long way because sometimes she has to help students translate to other teachers and help with their work.
And it impacts me because sometimes I don't have enough time to finish my work for helping other students.
I reached out to State Superintendent Mo Green's office, and his office tells me that having a diverse group of teachers that reflect students' background has been known to have a positive impact. In Uptown, Siobhan Riley, WCNC Charlotte.
New tonight, a viral video getting lots of attention and raising concerns in Gaston County. Now, it appears to show one student at Ashbrook High violently attacking another student.
And many tell WCNC Charlotte the person attacked is a child with special needs. We should mention we have not been able to independently confirm that point at this hour.
Yeah, parents now going to WCNC Charlotte's Tricia Woodard with their concerns.
Well, for many parents I've spoken to, they say this video feels personal. Many of them opening up, sharing their own stories of bullying, with one mom saying this could have been her son's. For parents like the McMasters,
my heart shattered for the little boy.
This was gut-wrenching to watch.
I was ready to drive to the school right then.
It's not just another story of bullying.
Brought me back to the past.
It's also a painful reminder of the bullying their own children have faced.
The name calling was a big one.
And the fear they felt every day when sending them off to school.
We felt kind of hopeless. Like, you feel hopeless when your child is getting bullied.
They came home absolutely devastated. They had a terrible day at school. They came home and had a terrible night.
The video circulating online shows a student seemingly blindsided by an attack, causing him to hit the floor. At this time, we've chosen not to air the audio due to the added stress it may cause. Now many expressing their own concerns and frustrations with the current state of student safety in Gaston County schools.
We were told that our options were to pull them out of public school basically and homeschool them.
We reached out to the Gaston County School District. They confirmed this incident happened Tuesday and says the school has investigated the incident, met with the students' parents, and involved the school resource officer and law enforcement.
A lot of times that protection is outside of our control. Like, you can only protect your kids so much.
Parents like the McMasters say it's hard to see a way forward when things continue to spiral out of control. It's why their boys are learning virtually from home.
No child deserves to go through that.
They say sometimes it's the best option to preventing emotional scarring, a pain that runs deeper than any physical mark ever could.
I would do anything to protect them, and they know that.
Now, school leaders say they cannot share any information about the students or any disciplinary actions being taken due to privacy, but they say the safety of their students is their top concern. Reporting in Gaston County, Tricia Woodard, WCNC Charlotte.
Every morning, your mission is to get ahead of traffic. Our mission is to save you time and get you there safe.
You can trust WCNC Charlotte to alert you to trouble spots impacting your commute. Stay on the move with WCNC Impact Traffic. WCNC Plus. Stream now.
6:45 now. If you didn't get enough sleep last night, you may be paying for it today.
Not only by being more groggy, but it can also make you grab more food. I spoke with doctors to verify whether there's a connection between hunger and a bad night of sleep.
The question, can lack of sleep make you eat more? Let's verify. Our source is cardiologist Dr. Pyle Coley, sleep specialist with the Cleveland Clinic Dr. Nancy Foldberry, and a study published in the National Library of Medicine. Both doctors say when you're sleep deprived, appetite hormones are thrown off and it can make you eat more the next day.
When we're sleep deprived, it triggers a stress response in the body. And what that does is turns the volume up on our hunger. We tend to eat more unhealthy types of foods because we sort of crave sugar-rich foods because our body needs that instant sugar to try to build up its energy.
In this study published in the National Library of Medicine, they examined people who got a good night's rest compared to people who were sleep deprived and found people who were tired were more hungry. And before you grab for that afternoon cup of coffee, Dr. Foldberry says caffeine might not be the best fix.
Caffeine can have a widely variable half-life. It can linger in the central nervous system far beyond what you might expect. And so some of us are really sensitive to that and really can't have caffeine beyond early morning.
The good news, as long as you get some rest, your body will reset.
Once you sort of reset your sleep and start getting sleep again, many of these hormones go back to your baseline. So you can reverse this process of dysregulated hormones inside our body.
So we can verify that, yes, lack of sleep can make you eat more.
Something verified, I'd love to hear from you. Just email me at verify@wcnc.com. Do you guys feel this way? Do you feel like when you get less sleep, you're
I didn't
more
sleep
hungry?
well last night, but I don't see the correlation.
Well, I can tell you this much. I have invariably never got enough sleep. I should probably weigh about 800 pounds.
You should,
Because you don't get enough sleep.
You know, obviously people are different, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like if I don't get enough sleep, I definitely am like,
Probably. Usually with me, it's the decisions in the morning. If I start off with a bad decision, like food-wise, it just
it's
all downhill.
all day. It's all downhill from there for sure.
No, literally like 30 minutes ago, just because I've been off for a week.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I need these because of the sleep
Yeah.
deprived. So do you know what? It verifies.
You probably didn't sleep well last night either. After being off and sleeping all night.
No, because you panic because you don't think you're going to wake up and stuff like that. And then there's way too many alarms and things. And then all of a sudden you have the dream that you are awake, but then you're not awake. You know, drop.
and then the Cheetos come into play.
I'll just take the coffee.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Give
see
me
it
a
here.
coffee.
Hilarious.
All right, what about our forecast for today?
Let's talk about that.
Flash flooding is one of the most dangerous weather threats because it can happen quickly, turning roads into rivers and putting lives at risk in just minutes. Flash flooding happens when intense rainfall overwhelms drainage systems or natural waterways. Low-lying areas, especially near rivers and creeks, are at the highest risk, but even urban areas where pavement prevents water from being absorbed can see dangerous flash floods. During Helene, the North Carolina State Emergency Response Team rescued more than 1,500 people and over 250 pets trapped by floodwaters. Here's how you can stay safe during flash flooding. Stay weather alert, have a way to receive alerts from the National Weather Service. Know your risk. If you live in a flood-prone area, be prepared to evacuate. Never drive through flooded roads. Move to higher ground immediately if a flash flood warning is issued. The most important thing to remember, turn around, don't drown. It only takes 12 inches of fast-moving water to carry away a small car and only 6 inches to knock you off your feet. Plus, you don't know what lies in the water. There are often hidden hazards that floodwaters conceal, like debris, washed out roads, or electrical risks. When you see traffic barriers that close off flooded roadways, don't ignore them. Hurricane Helene showed us just how devastating flash flooding can be in the Carolinas. Severe weather preparedness week is the perfect time to make a plan for you, your family, and your pets in case disaster strikes. With the WCNC Weather Impact Team, I'm meteorologist Becca Birdsall.
WCNC Weather Impact, your trusted source for winter weather and beyond. From frost and freezes to snow, get the up-to-date forecast on your schedule.
Your Weather Impact Team, only on WCNC Charlotte.
Stream now on WCNC Plus.
Switching gears, as new restaurants and bars continue to pop up across Charlotte, a popular Columbia hotspot is expanding its footprint into the Queen City.
It is setting up shop right along the rail trail at Carson Station. WCNC Charlotte's Walker Lawson gives us a first look inside.
Welcome to Market on Moorhead.
What is currently a vacant space.
Like, one of the big challenges with this space was the ceiling heights were a little bit lower than what we initially thought.
Has major renovations ahead.
With this particular space is going to be that we're going to actually take out some of the concrete and sink it.
As it will transform into the home of Market on Moorhead.
Certainly like more of a gourmet American restaurant, a lot of different kind of like ethnic influences.
Josh Willoughby is the co-owner of Market on Main, a staple in Columbia since 2019. Now, he's hoping to replicate that success in Charlotte.
The new restaurant and bar is hoping to take advantage of people that are going to be jumping on the light rail while also taking advantage of new development coming up around the property.
We just think that bringing like a world-class facility to this area is going to be going to be very attractive to a lot of our hospitality workers and our staff.
The new space will have an outdoor patio, indoor and outdoor stages for live music, deck views looking at Uptown, and the biggest draw, a 25-foot jumbotron for sports.
It's going to look pretty much like a TV is floating kind of in that area.
The big expansion is already generating buzz.
Being right here on the rail trail, everyone's going to want to come. It sounds like such a good culture fit because this is a sports city, and so anywhere that has a place that, for a large jumbotron to sit people and watch sports content, it's going to be a great place, I feel like.
And while there's still a lot of work to be done,
we're definitely trying to open this year. That's what we want to do.
The plan is to open the doors in December of 2025. Walker Lawson, WCNC Charlotte.
WCNC Weather Impact, your trusted source for winter weather and beyond.
We're committed to keeping you safe, informed, and weather aware.
From frost and freezes to snow, the WCNC Weather Impact team tells you the timing and the essentials you need to know. Get the up-to-date forecast on your schedule, always streaming on WCNC Plus.
Your Weather Impact team only on WCNC Charlotte.
Stream now on WCNC Plus.
I feel like, Brad, maybe the only thing that's going to stand in the way from windows down driving for him, maybe the pollen?
Yeah, dark cars are all good until you get pollen season. You'll be watching that car quite a bit, but hey, I'll take it. That's a beautiful vehicle. Congratulations. Yeah. What a great tribute. I mean, today's been a little better. We washed some of that pollen out of the air, but it comes back pretty strong. And think about the pollen. The plants, they respond to the rain. They will start producing more pollen. So it's initial washing it out of the atmosphere, but then it just comes back pretty quickly. Today, I could already see it starting to show back up. We need consistent rain to keep the levels down, because when you go several days with dry, windy weather, it just builds up and becomes more and more. Tomorrow, we should get a little help. We're going to get a little drizzle or mist around. No heavy downpours, nothing severe, or anything like that, but certainly some moisture in the air. This will help with the fires as well, with containment efforts in the western part of the state. But that moisture moving in, that's a sign of big changes. That's a warm front coming in, and that's going to be kind of a more soupy air mass, kind of more sticky as we get towards the end of the week. You can see the rainfall chances not crazy high. They peak at around 30%, but most of the day it's around a 20% chance of seeing some rainfall tomorrow. Even with that 20% chance, because the winds are shifting to the south, expect pollen to be still pretty high, just not as high as it's going to be on Thursday and Friday as we start to dry out and the wind begins to pick up a little bit. That front, you can see it there pushing to the north. You see that moisture coming with it as we go through the day tomorrow. Once we get beyond that warm front, it's wide open to the Gulf and the Atlantic. That's going to bring in warm, humid air. It's going to get toasty around here. Our first legitimate heat wave of the season kind of starts Thursday. It won't be record breaking, but 83 on Thursday, 90 for Friday and Saturday with full sunshine. That would break the record on Friday, which is 87. The record on Saturday is 88. So both of those records are definitely in jeopardy as this ridge of high pressure sets up over Florida and the southeast. Now on the northwest side, this is going to cause a different issue. Because this ridge of high pressure is a mountain in the atmosphere, it's not going to move. So we're going to see wave of thunderstorms developing day after day in the same spot. They're going to get stuck on the northwest side of this ridge, and this is going to produce multi-day severe weather outbreak all the way through Friday, possibly Saturday, even into Sunday, possibly, depending on how things unfold. And with several days of severe weather, that's bad enough, but you got to think about the moisture and the rainfall that'll fall day after day. High risk there as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, it's an extreme risk. It's a high risk again for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This pocket of weather right here when rainfall could end up being 15 to 20 inches of rain in the next 7 days. We'll be on the drier side of this, but that's going to be a catastrophic event for areas of the Ohio and Mississippi River Valley. Then the heat moves out and the pattern flips back to cool next week. We're actually going to see below average temperatures as we go into next week, and it's going to stick around maybe through the middle of the month. So the cooler temperatures are going to return. We're not going straight to summer. This is just a brief blip as we see the cooler weather returning. Remember, our last freeze typically happens, generally at the end of March, but our average last frost is until April 10th. That's why we say wait till the 15th to plant, because that's usually going to be okay about 98% of the time. Your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. There's the heat Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday's a big transition day. Could see some strong storms. Got to monitor that. And then next week, the 10-day forecast shows much cooler weather and even some patchy frost possible a couple of mornings in the middle of next week.
Wow. All right.
Well, now to breaking developments in what was a violent Sunday here in Charlotte. Just hours ago, a double shooting on Welling Avenue in West Charlotte left 2 people dead. Earlier in the day, less than 3 miles away, a man was found dead on Camp Green Street and Royston Road. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King went to the scene and spoke with neighbors. She's joining us live right now from CMPD. And Anna, neighbors there telling you they were concerned.
That's right. I spoke to multiple neighbors, some with differing opinions on this. Some neighbors told me the area there the violence in that area had slowed down, while others told me this has actually happened way too often. And tonight they're all asking for help as they say they fear for their children.
I was sleeping out here like 2 shots.
Gunshots taking some neighbors by surprise.
And I was about to take my kids to the park and see something like this. We being turned around and I'm like, what's going on? And they're saying it's a homicide. It's sad.
But coming as not a shock to others who say this happens all too often.
This is Freedom Drive, which we know how freedom is.
Sunday, CMPD got a shots fired call.
They told me that the guy was somebody that got shot and down the way.
One man shot and killed along the 2600 block of Royston Road. For hours, investigators pieced together clues while residents wrestled with fear and frustration.
I can't let them go anywhere and do nothing because I cannot go outside and watch them 24/7. As a mother of 4 kids, you do not want to feel like your kids can't go out and play.
This scene just one of several violent incidents playing out across the city on Sunday. Just hours later, 2 people were killed on Welling Avenue in West Charlotte. Early Sunday morning, a shooting off West Sugar Creek Road left 1 person seriously hurt. And 2 others were hurt in a stabbing at an apartment complex off Archdale Drive in East Charlotte. Tonight, CMPD is asking the community to step up and help bring answers.
Middle of the day and on a Sunday where you got a lot of people out walking around and doing what they do on their Sundays. So if they did see anything or witness anything, please make contact with us.
And this remains an active investigation tonight. CPD asks that if anyone has any information on either of these cases to contact them at 704-334-1600. Live here at the CMPD headquarters, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
We've talked about a lot of concerns, but today's weather could actually be good news for some who suffer from allergies, at least in the short term, because that rain is likely going to do a good job of washing away the pollen that we're seeing on the cars, the windows, the outdoor furniture, at least for a period of time.
Allergy sufferer right there beside me.
Sound a little
It's all good. It's all good. But even so, some are saying this year seems worse than others. So is that true? WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
It is allergy season, and many people claim they're grabbing more tissues than last year because of all the pollen piling up. So is this season worse? Let's verify.
Our sources, WCNC Charlotte meteorologist Chris Mulcahy, the National Weather Service, and the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America. You've seen it on your car, on your outdoor furniture, and more, a thick layer of pollen. But is this the stuff that's making you sneeze and wheeze?
Whatever this yellow stuff that you see on your car, on picnic tables all over the place, that's not what actually makes you sneeze. It's these microscopic, tiny little bits that get into your nasal passages.
According to the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America, February to April is the peak time for tree allergies. The yellow stuff you see form outside on surfaces is pine pollen, which is not typically the cause of allergy symptoms.
So this, what you physically see, isn't actually leading to a worse allergy season. It's actually what we can't see.
According to the National Weather Service, last March we had 11 days of significant rain. This year we have seen 5.
If you talk about overall the intensity, it's the same. But whenever you have a rain event, that's the way to kick the pollen back down. So even though the peak is the same, this season technically has lasted a little bit longer because we haven't had that rain to at least reset us for a day or 2.
So while the pollen count is pretty much the same as last year, it's the lack of relief from the rain that has us grabbing those tissues more. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
When severe weather impacts the Carolinas, you can help us tell the story.
Our radar helps to keep you weather aware, along with images like these. Here's how to send us a video or picture of conditions impacting your area.
Make sure you're in a safe spot. Take a picture or a video, then send it to the Near Me feature on our WCNC News app.
Your image could be part of our weather impact coverage. Download the WCNC News app now.
Now it is time to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. It's the one day of the year where pranks are practically encouraged and no one is safe.
April Fool's Day is all about fun and foolery, but where did it come from? Let's connect the dots. The exact origins aren't clear, but some link it to ancient Rome's Hilaria festival or a 16th century calendar change. When some people stuck to the old New Year in April, they were mocked as April Fools. The tradition spread, especially in Europe, and pranks became part of springtime celebrations. In France, people still tape paper fish on each other's backs as a joke. Over the years, it's grown into a global day of mischief. Even major brands and news outlets have joined in with viral pranks, like Taco Bell claiming it bought the Liberty Bell, or the BBC's fake story about spaghetti trees. While it's not an official holiday, April 1st is now a chance to laugh, surprise someone, or fall for a joke yourself. Just remember to take it with a smile. And that's connecting the dots.
There are 3 key components to igniting a wildfire: fuel, heat, and oxygen. This is commonly referred to as the fire triangle. The fuel for a wildfire is any kind of flammable material, like trees, dry brush, and even homes. According to NC State, these materials emit a vapor, which can be taken to its flash point by a heat source. An item's flash point is the lowest temperature in which it can ignite. Once this is reached, the vapor will evaporate and mix with oxygen, sparking a fire. We know oxygen is naturally occurring in our atmosphere, and it's needed for both starting and sustaining a fire. When something burns, it's exposed to that oxygen from the air, and a chemical reaction occurs. This releases more heat, generating combustion and fueling the fire. While a fire needs all 3 components to start, it only needs one element away to end. Wildfires can happen naturally, sparked by a lightning strike or the heat of the sun, but they are most often caused by human activities like discarded cigarettes or unattended fires. While the weather alone has a lesser chance of igniting a fire, it can impact where the fire goes or whether it spreads. The biggest impacts are caused by low humidity and gusty wind. The wind also impacts the movement of the fire. Topography is a huge factor too, especially in areas like the North Carolina mountains. Steep terrain funnels winds, and they get stronger as elevation climbs. With your Weather IQ, I'm meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees.
WCNC Weather Impact, your trusted source for winter weather and beyond. From frost and freezes to snow, get the up-to-date forecast on your schedule.
Your Weather Impact Team, only on WCNC Charlotte.
Stream now on WCNC Plus.
6th graders in the Charlotte area, they're taking problem solving into their own hands by helping victims of Hurricane Helene 6 months after the storm hit. WCNC Charlotte meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees shares their story.
To some, it may look like just a book, but to this group of 6th graders, it's a passion project inspired by Hurricane Helene. They're part of the organization Community Problem Solving, which encourages students to become agents of change. When the students noticed how many people were impacted by Helene and how many trees fell locally here in Charlotte, they decided to write a book about tree health.
I mean, we all love trees. We've all had that one tree we've climbed on when we were a kid or loved watching. And some of those trees just fall out of nowhere, even healthy trees, which is really unexpected.
During the research phase of their project, the team interviewed an arborist about ways to keep your trees healthy.
And she told them that one of the most effective ways they have to educate adults about tree health is through children. And they said, what better way to get to children than to write a children's book?
Realizing this, a girl, her tree, and the swing was born. The students then visited with kids from Valley Crucis and Blowing Rock schools in Western North Carolina to discuss their experience during the storm.
The children were so forthcoming and, were willing to describe all of their feelings: frustration, anger, sadness, whereas adults have been more reserved.
Now that the book is written, it has been distributed to 6 schools across Western North Carolina. The team hopes to raise more money, print more copies, and distribute it to more schools. This way, they can be a positive impact on as many people as possible.
A lot of people were impacted by this, and I would say even some people had traumatizing events, but I would say good days still come after that.
For
County tonight, there's a new initiative aimed at protecting some of the community's most vulnerable neighbors. Project Lifesaver is designed to quickly locate individuals with cognitive impairments who may wander away from caregivers.
But while the program is free for families, it does rely on funding, and tonight they're asking for the community's help. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King shows how you can help.
The York County Sheriff's Office says this program could be a lifesaver for families caring for individuals with dementia or autism, but the ability to provide the service at no cost depends on donations.
8 minutes is a lifesaver. Like if he went missing, they could immediately start tracking him.
For families like Tanya Yoakum's, Project Lifesaver is more than just a program. It's peace of mind. The program's tracking bracelet emits a unique radio frequency, allowing deputies to quickly locate a missing person. And for Tanya, it's been a game changer.
Luke is a runner. You never know. As much as you watch them, you never know when they're going to just elope and decide to take off. And when their little feet go, they're gone. They're fast.
Without Project Lifesaver, law enforcement says it typically takes around 9 hours to find a missing person. And with it, that time drops to just 30 minutes. The service is currently free, but officials stress it relies on community donations to stay that way.
And because we don't want to charge clients for this. We don't want to turn anybody away.
He says each bracelet costs around $350, and ongoing support is crucial to keeping the program available for those who need it most. For those who would like to donate to help this mission, you can head to our website at WCNC.com to find out how. In York County, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
WCNC Weather Impact, your trusted source for winter weather and beyond.
We're committed to keeping you safe, informed, and weather aware.
From frost and freezes to snow, the WCNC Weather Impact team tells you the timing and the essentials you need to know. Get the up-to-date forecast on your schedule, always streaming on WCNC Plus.
Your Weather Impact team only on WCNC Charlotte.
Stream now on WCNC Plus.
I feel like, Brad, maybe the only thing that's going to stand in the way from windows down driving for him, maybe the pollen?
Yeah, dark cars are all good until you get pollen season. You'll be watching that car quite a bit, but hey, I'll take it. That's a beautiful vehicle. Congratulations. Yeah. What a great tribute. I mean, today's been a little better. We washed some of that pollen out of the air, but it comes back pretty strong. And think about the pollen. The plants, they respond to the rain. They will start producing more pollen. So it's initial washing it out of the atmosphere, but then it just comes back pretty quickly. Today, I could already see it starting to show back up. We need consistent rain to keep the levels down, because when you go several days with dry, windy weather, it just builds up and becomes more and more. Tomorrow, we should get a little help. We're going to get a little drizzle or mist around. No heavy downpours, nothing severe, anything like that, but certainly some moisture in the air. This will help with the fires as well, with containment efforts in the western part of the state. But that moisture moving in, that's a sign of big changes. That's a warm front coming in, and that's going to be kind of a more soupy air mass, kind of more sticky as we get towards the end of the week. You can see the rainfall chances not crazy high. They peak at around 30%, but most of the day it's around a 20% chance of seeing some rainfall tomorrow. Even with that 20% chance, because the winds are shifting to the south, expect pollen to be still pretty high, just not as high as it's going to be on Thursday and Friday as we start to dry out and the wind begins to pick up a little bit. That front, you can see it there pushing to the north. You see that moisture coming with it as we go through the day tomorrow. Once we get beyond that warm front, it's wide open to the Gulf and the Atlantic. That's going to bring in warm, humid air. It's going to get toasty around here. Our first legitimate heat wave of the season kind of starts Thursday. It won't be record breaking, but 83 on Thursday, 90 for Friday and Saturday with full sunshine. That would break the record on Friday, which is 87. The record on Saturday is 88. So both of those records are definitely in jeopardy as this ridge of high pressure sets up over Florida and the southeast. Now on the northwest side, this is going to cause a different issue because this ridge of high pressure is a mountain in the atmosphere. It's not going to move. So we're going to see wave of thunderstorms developing day after day in the same spot. They're going to get stuck on the northwest side of this ridge, and this is going to produce multi-day severe weather outbreak all the way through Friday, possibly Saturday, even into Sunday, possibly, depending on how things unfold. And with several days of severe weather, that's bad enough, but you got to think about the moisture and the rainfall that'll fall day after day. High risk there as we go into Wednesday, Thursday. It's an extreme risk. It's a high risk again for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This pocket of weather right here when rainfall could end up being 15 to 20 inches of rain in the next 7 days. We'll be on the drier side of this, but that's going to be a catastrophic event for areas of the Ohio and Mississippi River Valley. Then the heat moves out and the pattern flips back to cool next week. We're actually going to see below average temperatures as we go into next week, and it's going to stick around maybe through the middle of the month. So the cooler temperatures are going to return. We're not going straight to summer. This is just a brief blip as we see the cooler weather returning. Remember, our last freeze typically happens, generally at the end of March, but our frost. Average last frost is until April 10th. That's why we say wait till the 15th to plant, because that's usually going to be okay about 98% of the time. Your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. There's the heat Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday's a big transition day. Could see some strong storms. Got to monitor that. And then next week, the 10-day forecast shows much cooler weather and even some patchy frost possible a couple of mornings in the middle of next week.
Wow. All right.
New numbers show houses in the Queen City are going unsold much longer. According to a RE/MAX report, Charlotte saw the second largest increase nationally in the amount of the time that homes stayed on the market. WCNC Charlotte's Walker Lawson explains why it's happening, what it means, and what you can expect in the coming months.
For sale signs are going up across Charlotte, but they're staying up much longer than usual. As the housing market is shifting, and experts say there are two big reasons.
We're just adding more homes, more inventory to the market. We're looking at a city, at an area that is growing every day.
Secondly, are the sky-high interest rates.
The rates are so low for people who bought in between 2019 and 2021 that why would they sell their house if they can't sell at a good price and then go buy a house at a high interest rate for a higher price? It doesn't make sense for them.
According to the report, in February, the average home in the greater Charlotte area took 57 days to sell, a 42.7% year-over-year increase. The report also outlines that home sales have dropped 5.1% year to year, but both realtors say it's still a good time to buy.
Interest rates are high, but you have to think about you're going to marry the house and date the rate. So these are great times as much as we want the interest rates to be in a better environment. These are the good times actually to enter the housing market, find the right house.
I'm a huge proponent on if you can buy now, do it, because 1 year of pain, you'll set yourself up for 29 years of an easier mortgage.
See a lot more buyers joining this market. So probably in the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to see another upswing.
Walker Lawson, WCNC Charlotte.
It is time to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. What you eat could soon face stricter rules from Washington. A push to cut ultra-processed foods from federal nutrition programs is gaining steam.
Ultra-processed foods are under the microscope as the Trump administration pushes for a healthier America. Let's connect the dots. The new health secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., says these foods are fueling chronic diseases like obesity and diabetes. He wants to remove them from federal programs like SNAP. Ultra-processed foods include sugary cereals, frozen pizzas, sodas, and chips. They make up about 60% of the U.S. diet, and even more for kids. Studies link these foods to health risks like heart disease, depression, and early death. But scientists say more research is needed to know if the processing itself is the real problem. Experts say labeling and added ingredients matter most. Foods high in salt, sugar, and saturated fat are worth limiting, regardless of how processed they are. The bottom line, whole foods like fruits and vegetables are your safest bet. And that's connecting the dots.
Question everything and verify with WCNC Charlotte. Taking questions, seeking experts for the answers, and sharing the knowledge to distinguish fact from fiction. WCNC Charlotte is guiding the way. Well, tonight we want to introduce you to our newest Hyundai hometown hero. He's a teacher whose job goes far beyond the classroom, too. WCNC Charlotte's Lisa Washington introduces us to Coach Alonzo Custer from North Lincoln High School.
I was asked to give you the college checklist.
Alonzo Custer's day at North Lincoln High School begins around 4 a.m.
But it'll help you get started on your journey.
Hours before he greets students in his personal finance classes.
It's what day? Debate day. Debate day.
He is a coach, mentor, and even fills in as custodian.
His weakness is that he doesn't say no. If they need him, he's there.
His wife, Wendy, who also works at the school, says Custer, as he's called, is a behind-the-scenes guy who just wants to help others succeed.
We also talked about insurance and stuff like that.
But he was front and center when he led his class out of North Lincoln for what he thought was going to be appearing in a car commercial. It was actually a setup for us to meet our newest Hyundai hometown hero.
Oh my goodness.
Take a look at what is here.
blessings, man. This is amazing.
A surprise that stopped him in his tracks and his words.
Coach, I've got some keys on behalf of the Hyundai dealers in the Charlotte market. I'd like to present you this 25 Santa Fe.
I'm speechless. This is amazing.
His students say Custer brings real-world examples to his lessons.
Very knowledgeable. He's very passionate about what he teaches. When it comes to teaching, he tries to make it fun and he tries to make it relatable to everybody.
One of those lessons is buying what you can afford and not overspending. His wife says that's one of the reasons he drives a 19-year-old car.
So his car is old, so he practices what he preaches. So he's never had a new car. He's never ever had a new car.
And it's just wonderful to be able to give back to someone who gives so much to our community.
Custer says getting a new vehicle is proof that his efforts to help others are working.
Because a lot of times in life, you don't know if you're getting through. This is just a big flashing sign that says what you're doing is working. So blessed and humbled like never been humbled in my life right now. Being a public school teacher was something I never thought about till it happened, and being able to influence kids' lives and go to work every day and do what you're called to do is amazing. So I just want these kids to take away that, find your passion. Find your passion, find what you love to do, and stick to it. You just never know how things are going to work out, and I'm sitting here in a brand new car that I would have never bought for myself, and it's a perfect example.
Well, ask any artist and they'll tell you art and the community go hand in hand. That statement holds true across the greater Charlotte region.
And here at WCNC Charlotte, we've shared stories with you about artists engaging with the community, and we've even seen you engaging back. Along with the help of WCNC Charlotte digital reporter Emma Corinta, we spoke to artists and community organizers working to get to the heart of the connection.
Just like there's no one way to make art, there's no one way community members engage with art.
All artists, we make something for it to be experienced. Mm-hmm. That's the secret sauce. We cannot give it that. The audience has to, echo it back.
Mono Feo, a Charlotte artist who often uses performance art and costumes in his work, says community is vital to his work.
The community that kind of builds in those moments is truly the most important thing for me.
But for the audience to experience that art, they have to know about it. Some in the Charlotte art scene say that's easier said than done.
The people being reached are the people who are already in. And there's very little community outreach to artists and very little artist outreach to the communities they're in.
Vaughn Schmutz, an associate professor of sociology at UNC Charlotte, says it can make a big impact for people to engage with the arts.
There are programs in Charlotte that really help engage people across, social boundaries that they might not otherwise cross. So in other words, that it allows people to engage with people across, socioeconomic or racial or ethnic divides.
This push comes as there's a spotlight on the state of arts funding. This month, North Carolina-based Cheap Joe's Art Stuff announced it is closing, while the nonprofit Art Pop Street Gallery says it's fighting to stay afloat. Still, the city of Charlotte says it has actually helped increase arts funding in the city over recent years. Those we spoke to hope the spotlight stays on artists and art organizations working to make a difference.
There's a lot of art in this city, and especially as a city that is often thought about as just the banking place or the company place. So we're an art city, and it's all right here.
Art and community go hand in hand because art beautifies your community. Art can uplift your community. Art can engage your community. Art can save your community.
So take your phone out now, scan the QR code on your screen. The piece that you just saw, just a small portion of the full story. We have a 3-part series on this on our website. Again, scan the QR code on your screen and make sure to join us on WCNC Plus tomorrow morning at 9:30 for more on this story.
WCNC Weather Impact, your trusted source for winter weather and beyond. From frost and freezes to snow, get the up-to-date forecast on your schedule.
Your Weather Impact team only on WCNC Charlotte.
Stream now on WCNC Plus.
Dozens of Social Security offices are closing across the country as part of DOJ's efforts. That includes 4 in North Carolina, all set to shutter between the end of June and early August.
Now, many are wondering if this will impact the benefits that they receive and how. WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies for us.
Social media users have been spreading the claim that because Social Security offices are closing, you may have trouble accessing your benefits. So let's verify what's true for recipients. Our sources, the White House and the Social Security Administration. The biggest question, do you have to identify yourself in person at the Social Security office in order to keep benefits? According to the SSA website, starting on March 31st, those who claim benefits must verify their identity either online or in person. The SSA says they will permit people who cannot use online services to start their claim for benefits over the phone. However, the claim cannot be completed until their identity is verified in person. Despite this change, the White House says it will not cut benefit amounts for Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. So how do offices closing impact claiming benefits? Social Security says it's working with the General Service Administration to end 64 leases. Most of these are not regional offices, but hearing spaces, which is a room within another SSA office. The agency says most hearings are held virtually, so they no longer need as many in-person hearing sites. Regardless, you should expect a wait. The SSA's phone line states that it takes from 200 to 230 days to review records and medical information. And the website says if you need to visit an office, schedule an appointment first. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
All right, so tonight, a long-standing Charlotte nonprofit is seeking solutions in a new way. Camino just unveiled its new dental facility offering more healthcare services to the Latino community.
WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris shows us how this new facility adds to their mission.
It's an important goal for Camino, offering healthcare access to all, especially those in our Latino community. And their latest effort includes a new dental facility offering care for those in need.
Making this clinic a reality has allowed a lot of patients to be served.
For more than 2 decades, Camino has served as a bridge for the Latino community in connecting them with needed resources.
Crowns the same day.
Their latest addition,
will start
a
off
new
in
dental
block,
facility.
And
we've gone from a passionate group of people serving in really bad facilities to having a state-of-the-art clinic, to where we're going to be able to help people even more and with more dignity.
The dental facility includes high-quality dental equipment.
Going to be able to print our own dentures here.
It's something dental director Dr. Frank Diaz knows he could have benefited from as a kid.
Being from Mexico, I came here when I was a young boy. I suffered a lot of those dental problems. Having this clinic here, it makes it possible for us to actually do the treatment and get rid of that infection that's causing the pain.
Dr. Diaz says research shows that dental care is among one of the top needs for the Latino population within Charlotte. The nonprofit is hopeful their latest addition represents a continued commitment to removing healthcare barriers.
It makes a huge impact, and having all of the equipment to provide the preventative dental care, but also to provide patients with dentures, crowns, and more advanced implants, we were able to really make a big change in the quality of life, an improvement in the quality of life of all those we serve.
Here, it's not transactional. When they come here, they're going to be included in this family. We want each person that comes and engages with our services to feel a part of Camino.
For more information on the clinic, head to the WCNC Charlotte mobile app and be sure to click on this story. In North Charlotte, I'm Miles Harris, WCNC Charlotte.
Every morning, your mission is to get ahead of traffic. Our mission is to save you time and get you there safe.
You can trust WCNC Charlotte to alert you to trouble spots impacting your commute. Stay on the move with WCNC Impact Traffic. WCNC Plus. Stream now.
This month, a Lebanese doctor who works at Brown University was flagged at Boston Logan International Airport by Customs and Border Protection. She was returning home from her home nation when the Justice Department says officers found photos and videos on her cell phone pertaining to Hezbollah. Authorities canceled her visa and deported her back to Lebanon. And the incident prompted protests in Rhode Island, where she is just one of 3 doctors who can perform certain kinds of kidney transplants.
And many are left wondering here if officials had the right to search her phone in that way. WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies tonight.
In the wake of that doctor story, some people are now asking if U.S. Customs and Border Protection is allowed to search your phone, laptop, or camera. So let's verify. To get answers on this, we went straight to the Department of Homeland Security, which the CBP is under. According to the CBP, they have the right to go through your electronics. They state these searches have been used to identify and combat terroristic activity, child pornography, drug smuggling, human smuggling, bulk cash smuggling, human trafficking, export control violations, and more. However, data shows in fiscal year 2024, less than 0.01% of arriving international travelers at a port of entry had their electronic devices checked. So how is the decision made on who to search? According to CBP, people who require further processing at the agent's discretion are moved aside, and during the secondary inspection, they can check devices. According to CBP, all travelers are obligated to hand over electronic devices if they are asked to. If a U.S. citizen does not comply, they will not be denied entry. However, their device may be taken, held, or dealt with in other ways. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
Tomorrow, the LGBTQ+ community is celebrating Transgender Day of Visibility. It comes as multiple bills limiting their rights have been introduced across the country, including here in North Carolina. WCNC Charlotte's Julie Kay highlights resources in Charlotte that supporters say are important right now.
A day typically dedicated to celebration and acceptance, this year has a different tone.
Just that alone has increased people's stress level.
Holly Savoy is the executive director of Charlotte Trans Health, a collective of providers working to increase access to safe, gender-affirming care. This comes amidst multiple moves at the federal and state level. In February, President Donald Trump signing an executive order stating athletes who were born male are not allowed to compete on a women's sports team if that program receives federal funding, including college sports. And just this week, state lawmakers introducing Senate Bill 516, which would define sex as only male and female, prevent changes to birth certificates, and restrict bathroom use in public spaces.
Further creates more discrimination, more opportunities for harassment, more cost to our community to try to enforce all of this.
Supporters say moves like this keep women safe and protect privacy.
And we're protecting women's rights, defending women's dignity, and standing up for the American moms and daughters.
But multiple LGBTQ+ rights organizations worry this could increase discrimination against transgender people, especially kids.
Being a queer young person right now is very difficult. Their very identities are kind of under public debate in the spotlight. Decisions are being made about them without them.
Alyssa Miller is a spokesperson for Time Out Youth, a Charlotte nonprofit that works to provide support for LGBTQ+ kids, including counseling and housing assistance. In the past month, Miller says they've seen a massive increase in youth seeking their resources. Miller and Savoy agree. It's not just that support that becomes more important in times of uncertainty.
They're not alone.
It's also the celebration.
There are a lot of us out here who are there to support them.
Julie Kay, WCNC Charlotte.
I feel like, Brad, maybe the only thing that's going to stand in the way from windows down driving for him, maybe the pollen?
Yeah, dark cars are all good until you get pollen season. You'll be watching that car quite a bit, but hey, I'll take it. That's a beautiful vehicle. Congratulations. Yeah. What a great tribute. I mean, today's been a little better. We washed some of that pollen out of the air, but it comes back pretty strong. And think about the pollen. The plants, they respond to the rain. They will start producing more pollen. So it's initial washing it out of the atmosphere, but then it just comes back pretty quickly. Today, I could already see it starting to show back up. We need consistent rain to keep the levels down, because when you go several days with dry, windy weather, it just builds up and becomes more and more. Tomorrow, we should get a little help. We're going to get a little drizzle or mist around. No heavy downpours, nothing severe, anything like that, but certainly some moisture in the air. This will help with the fires as well, with containment efforts in the western part of the state. But that moisture moving in, that's a sign of big changes. That's a warm front coming in, and that's going to be kind of a more soupy air mass, kind of more more sticky as we get towards the end of the week. You can see the rainfall chances not crazy high. They peak at around 30%, but most of the day it's around a 20% chance of seeing some rainfall tomorrow. Even with that 20% chance, because the winds are shifting to the south, expect pond to be still pretty high, just not as high as it's going to be on Thursday and Friday as we start to dry out and the wind begins to pick up a little bit. That front, you can see it there pushing to the north. You see that moisture coming with it as we go through the day tomorrow. Once we get beyond that warm front, it's wide open to the Gulf and the Atlantic. That's going to bring in warm, humid air. It's going to get toasty around here. Our first legitimate heat wave of the season kind of starts Thursday. It won't be record breaking, but 83 on Thursday, 90 for Friday and Saturday with full sunshine. That would break the record on Friday, which is 87. The record on Saturday is 88. So both of those records are definitely in jeopardy as this ridge of high pressure sets up over Florida and the southeast. Now on the northwest side, this is going to cause a different issue because this ridge of high pressure is a mountain in the atmosphere. It's not going to move. So we're going to see wave of thunderstorms developing day after day in the same spot. They're going to get stuck on the northwest side of this ridge, and this is going to produce multi-day severe weather outbreak all the way through Friday, possibly Saturday, even into Sunday, possibly, depending on how things unfold. And with several days of severe weather, that's bad enough, but you got to think about the moisture and the rainfall that'll fall day after day. High risk there as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, it's an extreme risk. It's a high risk again for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This pocket of weather right here when rainfall could end up being 15 to 20 inches of rain in the next 7 days. We'll be on the drier side of this, but that's going to be a catastrophic event for areas of the Ohio and Mississippi River Valley. Then the heat moves out and the pattern flips back to cool next week. We're actually going to see below average temperatures as we go into next week, and it's going to stick around maybe through the middle of the month. So the cooler temperatures are going to return. We're not going straight to summer. This is just a brief blip as we see the cooler weather returning. Remember, our last freeze typically happens, generally at the end of March, but our average last frost is until April 10th. That's why we say wait till the 15th to plant, because that's usually going to be okay about 98% of the time. Your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. There's the heat Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday's a big transition day. Could see some strong storms. Got to monitor that. And then next week, the 10-day forecast shows much cooler weather and even some patchy frost possible a couple of mornings in the middle of next week.
Wow. All right.